back, ladies and gentlemen, to the LR Backstage, sponsored by S&D Education. I'm here with Adam from MusicBox. And you know what, Adam? This is a moment because I think this might be the very first time that you're actually being maybe publicly doxxed outside of having, interpersonal meetings with members of the community. But Adam, man, it's amazing to have you. I cannot wait to get into the details of MusicBox AdaBox. How are you doing today, bro?
I'm doing very well, Justin. Thank you very much. There might be 2 or 3 videos of me playing guitar, like on Twitter and Instagram, but not as clear. I always mush it up with like effects. But this is the first time I'm showing my face and my name. So yeah, good to be here. Yeah.
Awesome. Man, well, MusicBox. MusicBox is one of the, if not the OG music project on the Cardano blockchain. You all have been around for over a year and a half now, I think, right? About a year and a half?
Since September, last year. So.
Wow, September. Yep, September. That was literally around the time that I got into the space, I think to a T, around September 2021. I do remember seeing you guys. And I remember just being fascinated about the MusicBox and what that was. Before we get into what the MusicBox is, let's talk about how you got into the space and what your intentions were, like what brought you to Cardano and your love and passion for music and kind of bridging that gap.
Wow, that's quite a backstory. So I was introduced by a mutual friend to a developer on Cardano, one of the co-founders of MusicBox. His name is Dudi. He's an SPO as well, so he has a pool. He was a Plutus pioneer, and he was basically, back then there was a boom after SpaceBuds, roughly, like SpaceBuds is like March, April, so like a month after that, he wanted to get into NFTs, and a mutual friend of ours who basically knows me and since childhood, and he studied with him. We got together into like a Zoom call. He brought me into the conversation because he looked for an artist, and that's what I do. I'm a musician. I'm an artist. And we were kind of bouncing ideas back and forth. I initially didn't get NFTs at all. I was like, why would anyone buy an image for like $1,000? I couldn't understand how this is even possible. And I told him, let me think about it for a couple of days. I don't know if I have the capacity for that. I have a full-time job, and it's nice to draw things, but I don't know if he wanted someone to really get into it. So I actually read into Cardano specifically. I knew I had a little bit of ETH, a little bit of Doge for the memes mainly, but when I started to read about Cardano and realizing the holistic view of how they view blockchain, the proof of stake rather than proof of work and all those stuff, then I really got, like a true degen, and really got into crypto in general and Cardano in particular. So coming from a music background, the first thing I said after looking at unsigned algorithm, I was like, let's do an unsigned just with music. Because it looks like it's so colorful, and you have the combinations of the the squares and the triangles and all those kind of shapes. It sounded very similar to me that you can apply that to music, and you can just create something totally random, and some of that randomness will be like so unique and so beautiful to hear. And this is where the idea kind of started to roll out on. So that's kind of the backstory of that.
Yeah, wow. So there's a few members of the MusicBox team that's grown to become AdaBox. We'll get there shortly, but could you mind speaking to some of your team members and their backgrounds? And are you guys like longtime friends? Some of the members. How did you guys all kind of come on the same page?
Yeah. So as I mentioned with Dudi, I only know him since like last year, but we're very good friends right now because we co-founded this. We also have another his name, I won't dox his real name, but his internet name is Third Eye. He's like a brother to me. We know each other since the army. We've served in the army together, and he's also a producer, a musician. He's actually responsible for synthesizing the sounds, mixing, mastering. He's really the brains behind what is being fed to the algorithm that creates the music. I do have music background. Like you can see, I'm playing guitar since I'm 8 years old. Very into prog music, metal, stuff like that. And in the last 2 years, I've basically been exposed heavily into more digitalized music. So stuff like techno and everything related to synthesizers and the background of those synthesizers. I'm coming from a very acoustic world, but the other co-founder, Third Eye, he's basically the brains behind anything related to the synthesizers, the drum machines. He owns all of them. So right now we're a team of the founders are 3 people. We have recently added another Cardano community member called Ada Knight or Lemonada. He has a couple of names, but he's also been in the space for quite a while, and he's helping us with the community stuff, the Discord, like reaching out to different personas in the community, helping us with the collabs and stuff like that.
Man, there's just so many great points that you really kind of brought up in there. One of them being, number one, I'd like to just share with everyone, Adam is extremely talented on the guitar. One of a kind type of, like that's the prog style, I think, the way that you really kind of strum, acoustically. I definitely took a note of that within the listening room. Adam will come down in this space and absolutely just shift the whole mood with this style of music. And man, it's definitely inspiring. And so to that end, no problem. As a music producer myself, that actually one of my arts is seeking to create a live sound electronically, and being able to team up with your partner. One of the things that I yearn for at times is like, to be able to have acoustic, a variety of acoustic options to pull from. But most specifically from someone that I have a relationship with. I think that's where the creation and collaboration of music starts to become really enriched and fun, kind of on a whole nother level than just kind of seeking for loops on a number of different platforms. But so I think it's really cool that you all have been able to come together and merge your talents, and how you have. And so he's got the electronic side, you've got the acoustic side, and here we got and plus the developer, right? Third Eye, right? And now you have the fourth team member. No, Third Eye is your partner.
Duty Third Eye is the music partner. Duty is the guy behind the brains. Yeah.
Right. So I'm just kind of like laying it out for people in terms of like what the needs and the team of a successful project, right? You have your visionary, just musician. You might have a producer, who can actually like put that in electronically. You need a developer, and also now you guys have your community engagement manager in a sense, right? And so I think that's like 4 key strong points to have on the team for it to be successful at the bare minimum, So, kudos to you guys for having a really strong team. You spoke to how the music boxes were created a little bit, and that like inception process of coming up with the idea to even make that happen. Do you mind speaking to a little bit of Third Eye's process of actually creating the music box? What that actually entails, the thought processes actually that go into that, and then what the outcome is.
All right, so I'll take you a year back. So the initial thought was very naive and like simple and elegant. We just said, okay, we're gonna record 500 sounds of 1 second each. We're gonna pile them all up together randomly, and we're just gonna have music. And we thought that's gonna take 2 weeks to do. It ended up being like a 3 month, like a month and a half process of just recording sounds.
Wow.
Because as we went along, we understood how complex it really is. Because yes, you have 8 notes, that's fine for each scale. But then you need to make some sort of rules and boundaries for the algorithm to understand what to do with those notes, right? Because you can have, half a note, quarter note, triplets. How far do we go with this? Because there's endless way to present these 8 notes. So we figured out that doing like some quarters, some 16th notes, and I think quarter notes, and we basically took, let's say, a couple of synthesizers, we recorded the notes individually, and we did the same process for the drum machine. So we recorded, each part of the drum machine separately. So we have like a kick, lots of kicks, snares, lots of snares, hi-hats, lots of hi-hats. We still wanted to keep some dynamics to it. And we eventually ended up with a couple of hundred of files, essentially, like wave files. We then took all of those, brought them to a developer that was back then in the project, and he's not in the project anymore, but we had a developer specifically building the algorithm, and we gave him some sets of rules. So, for example, initially we wanted to make like only 10 seconds. It was pretty hard to capture people for more than that, I felt, so we said, let's do like 10 seconds. That sounds pretty okay. It was, I think it was 120 BPM or 100 BPM, I can't really remember. And we started to structure the algorithm around that. So initially it was a free-for-all kind of thing. We just told him, just have eight channels, snare, hi-hat, kick, whatever it is, then add, a synth, one of the synths. It can either be like a bass doing sound, it can either be a chord progression or a lead progression. And we just let the algorithm do whatever it did. And as musicians, we were very excited by that because it was cool. But it was only cool probably to us. I think we kind of underestimated people that are not, and I'm not again, not to say this in a condescending way, but people who don't live music would probably find it to be,
it's hard for them to appreciate it.
Yes, like it's
right.
No, it would just sound ridiculous to them because it's a weird pattern, and for us it sounded really cool. It was like something revolutionary. It's like a computer is creating this music out of nothing, and we had like tens of thousands of combinations. It was basically endless. So we liked it very much, and we grew to love it as we played with it, and we obviously created more rules and more boundaries to make it a bit more humane and make it sound as appealing as possible to anyone really that's going to hear this. Unfortunately, the end result was less optimistic, and we couldn't hear all the combinations that we had, and there was some feedback that we received from people saying like, it's not there. It's too weird. It's too clunky. We still sold a couple of hundreds of those to people who like appreciated what we did, which was still very cool. And we always knew this is going to be like an alpha. That's why we called it the alpha drop, because we basically knew this is kind of testing the waters. But the idea itself, the core of the idea, is still something we really strongly believed in. We just knew it's going to take more than a month and a half, because that's a basic. We started in September, we did the drop in November. We barely had time. Right. We really wanted to take advantage of the bear market back then. NFTs were dropping like crazy every day. The volumes were insane. Honestly speaking, we wanted to take advantage of that. We knew there's a opportunity here. We came to this music idea out of not out of making money out of that. Obviously, making money is an incentive. That's like the fuel, right? It's not the destination. I can give an analogy about a car. The car is the company. It's us for. Money is the fuel that drives the car. It's not necessarily why the car exists. It exists to reach some sort of destination. The destination we always had was to change how music is perceived in general, and to help musicians around the world getting into Web3. We tried to make this popular so we can onboard musicians to M3. I'm saying this because as the sound producer of MusicBox, Third Eye is the cliche of like the musician that lives only music. He doesn't want to work at anything else. And it's just so tough. You know, you can have a million listens on Spotify. You make like $2 out of that. You can't live out of that. So that was initially like really the strong incentive to get into this space. We found it to be like an actual opportunity for music to be the sole income opportunity for any musician, me included. I work in tech on my daily job. If I could, I wish I wouldn't work in tech anymore. Although it's nice pay, it pays my bills, but my true passion is music. So yeah, that's kind of where the idea initiated, how it rolled. Later on, we did another drop called a 420 drop. It was kind of a meme around like with the Stoners Club. It was a really fun time. I participated a lot in the Cardano Stoners Club space. I played for them quite a few times. We did a huge kind of event around Snoop Dogg. We created like a Snoop Dogg. It was, I'll say this jokingly, but we believe Snoop Dogg came to Cardano because of that old space, because that music bong that we created.
Wow, I remember that.
It reached quite a lot of people. It had like a couple of thousand views. It was really viral for that like couple of days. And a few months later, he joined Cardano. So I'm always jokingly saying like, we actually brought him.
It probably helped.
I won't take credit for that, but maybe, yeah.
I'm tooting it for you.
Thanks. So we had a good time then. We did a small drop. It didn't sell a lot. It was more for fun, it was more for the memes, for the jokes of it. We had a good time around that time. But then we decided that we need to drop whatever we're actually doing, and we need to think, like, we need to plan and do something, the real MusicBox. And we knew it's going to take months. We took a risk by not being as participating anymore in the space. We just couldn't tear ourselves to. It was really hard to both work on the stuff and maintain community and keep your day job.
Right.
And some of us are married with kids. It was insanely consuming.
I'm gonna hold on to that point really fast.
No problem.
Two things that I want to take from that is because you're 100% right. I see projects now, even still to this day, right now. Individuals that I know that might have started an NFT project with a full-time job, not really knowing the full implications of what that means, especially when you take monies from the community and there's people maybe looking at you for some type of return. Even if it's not monetary, it could even be continuous engagement, continuous participation. And, when that's not the case, the brand, in a sense, does suffer to a certain extent. And so I just want to give you all kudos for standing the true test of time, being resilient in you all's mission, your intentions on being in the space. I think, I always ask people like what their why is, what their intentions are, because that's the guiding North Star. So it doesn't matter, we're going to spend family time, we're going to work, but at the end of the day, I'm probably going to still have late nights in a sense. And I see you all, that's what you all do, to be able to still come forth and bring what you all bring to the community. So to that end, I want to make these two connection points because I think this is, I could be wrong, but I think this is where the build out into even AdaBox has come was, just the true intention to allow musicians to be able to have a seamless, frictionless onboarding experience to Web3 so that they can be successful, so that they can actually own their careers in ways maybe not imagine a short time ago. So, I think insert AdaBox here, which is the grander platform, the grander vision for the decentralized aspect, for not just musicians, but just people as a whole. I think, maybe the vision has kind of scaled, from outside of musicians. And that's something I can appreciate, because it's like, how are we going to attract and create something that maybe isn't just for musicians, but for artists, and creatives and, entrepreneurs, right? And so, man, with that being said, you all have a really big drop here within the week on November 22nd. I think it's going to be unprecedented in its own right because of the utility that these music boxes offer. So can you tie that utility that you're offering with the music boxes to the long-term vision and purpose of AdaBox?
Yeah. It's not a secret that there's a lot of competition in Web3 right now. Everyone's doing kind of the same. You have lots of minting services. You have lots of marketplaces. Obviously, there are leaders there. We're coming from an angle where it might sound crazy, and I potentially suspect we're going to receive this with lots of cynicism as well. But we don't necessarily think that minting should cost any money. Now, I'm saying that while MusicBox costs money, minting in general costs a lot of money. It's typically 1.5, 2, sometimes 2.5 ADA per NFT that you're minting. When you do a drop of 5,000, that's the multiplier. With that said, AdaBox in the future will also have a paid option that has nothing to do with just the utility of the music boxes. However, we think that with the amount of boxes that we're putting out and the utility attached to them, I don't think that service will be needed. We're just doing that as a backup plan for the situation where there's not enough music boxes to fulfill the minting requirements. Now, that's probably a few months ahead anyway, but let me explain what I'm actually talking about here. So each music box that will be minted, there will be a score tied to that music box that we gave it a score based on the rarity of the box. The rarity, by the way, is based only on the appearance of the box, not the music. The music doesn't affect the rarity in any way, and we did that on purpose. The music shouldn't be... We didn't want to... infect the music with rarities. We don't want people to get a piece of sound and be bummed by it because it's not rare enough. Because the music is essentially the first thing we actually care about. The boxes are still visualized. So we picked the music box because it represents music pretty cool. It's pretty classic thing. It will have different materials, the different bars, the cage, the light that comes out of it, the environment that it's in. The environment is basically what dictates most of the score. We drew these really beautiful 3D environments, and we attached a score for each box. There will be 4 kind of tiers, and each tier would give a certain number of free mints. So that means that when you redeem the box inside AdaBox, which is the minting service, you'll basically be able to see how many free mints you have. And free mints means that you don't pay the minting fee. You only pay the transaction fee, which usually goes on the buyer anyway. It doesn't go on the seller.
And I'm gonna just reiterate, to everyone what Adam, just shared a little bit ago. It costs to mint anything on the blockchain, and so these AdaBoxes are going to be that payment option to be able to mint for free, right? So you have a certain amount of mints that you're allocated with the AdaBox that you purchase / mint, right? And so that's where the rarities come in. There's certain tiers of how many mints you get with the AdaBox, correct?
Yeah.
Right. And so when someone's holding the AdaBox in their wallet, you could either be an independent artist, an independent owner and operator, someone who's just starting out, maybe like a lower tier. They have a certain number of mints, and so they're just starting out. They might want to practice, or you might have an AdaBox, like one of the rarest ones that you have up to 6,000 mints, right? And so
3,000, yeah.
Okay, 3,000 mints, right? So when you have 3,000 mints, there's a certain approach that, I have an AdaBox that has 3,000 mints, an AdaBox that has 1,000 mints, and an AdaBox that has 500 mints. So I have 4,500 mints. What am I going to do with that? That's where my brain starts to go in terms of actually building a distribution service off of that, right? If I'm holding that many mints, right, I now have the opportunity to allocate, minting fees out to other people, so to speak, by building out, that service. So I wanted to kind of bring that idea in there for everyone, to get, to start to understand the actual full grand utility of how to utilize and leverage MusicBox and AdaBox. But please, Adam, continue.
Yeah, and so the whole collection is going to be worth 300,000 mints, free mints. And we picked this number because in the last...
That's $100,000 at the cost of Ada right now.
Yes.
For everyone. Yes, that's about $100,000 for everyone that needs to know. So...
Yeah. So we picked that number specifically because that's the average amount of NFTs being minted per month. We did some research. Wow. You have around 50,000 an epoch. So yeah, times 6, you have 6 epochs in a month, roughly speaking. So yeah, that's basically the number we got. Now, things that will be, this will by the way not be ready on November 22nd. There's still some integrations that needs to be done. It will take a few weeks probably after that to be fully, in mint condition, pun intended. And but what's basically, it's not just a fixed amount. There's also be a staking amount. So when you stake the box, depending on the tier that you received, you'll also receive each epoch more NFTs. So you can also look at it as a long-term investment. So you can, if let's say you got the good high tier one that gets you 1,500, you stake it for a few more epochs, it's going to be 2,000 after that.
Wow.
Yeah, so the staking part, again, we want to do it with a smart contract. It needs to be fully transparent. These are the kind of things that, the Web3 is pushing for, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want anyone to think that we fiddled around with how many free mints you get. It's going to be all transparent. That's the idea. So building this specific smart contract is quite complex, but it's going to happen. And yeah, that's the utility came from a place of the minting should be the easiest thing. It's like uploading an image to a website. It's like uploading a video to YouTube. It needs to be drag and drop, a few clicks. You have a widget, you put it in a website, and people can buy the NFTs from you. There will be an aspect of professional services. If like a huge drop, let's say 20,000, and they don't want to deal with the self-service, that's fine. We're human beings. We can probably do that on their behalf. But this is more towards people like you mentioned. I have like 100. Let's say I have a couple of songs. I just need the box that's worth 100 mints. I get it in floor price. It's still going to cost me less than the minting. And that's going to serve most of the people we cater for. You then have the other people that looks at it more of an investment, maybe projects that don't want to pay 10,000 ADA for their 5,000 drop. So yeah, we're stepping into this without too much knowledge if this would actually be successful or not. We think it will be from the feedback we received from people we talked to, with other minting services we talked to, the collaborations we spoke with, and we feel like this is going to be an actual good utility. And besides that, it's a pretty nice novelty thing that we created. We put a lot of time and effort into the boxes themselves, into the music, their design, but we know it's not quite enough anymore.
So, as we were just discussing, the full utility of the MusicBox in reference to the seamless, frictionless process that you all are creating, and the development of the smart contract to allow staking as well. I think that is such a top level utility, and really makes sense for the entire vision of what you all are bringing forth. Are you able to speak a little bit about the overall vision now of AdaBox as a whole, and with this utility of the MusicBox, some of the other features that AdaBox is gonna be entailing, and then being able to tie that back into, again, the larger vision that you all had from the very beginning of really creating a really dope onboarding experience for musicians, artists, and just people as a whole around the world. Can you speak a little bit to that overall utility that's kind of being built and developed for AdaBox?
Yeah, absolutely. So the initial idea was to make something to centralize the decentralized. That's kind of the phrase we used. Now, centralizing something for some reason in the crypto world has become like a cuss word. Like it's, oh no, like we can't have anything centralized, and I don't think it's always true. In some situations, hopping between a lot of different systems or platforms or softwares is it's pure inconvenience. There's nothing. Yes, maybe there's no monopolization. Like, I don't know, let's take JPEG Store. Everyone's now talking about how they monopolized. But honestly, they just built a good system, and they are listening, for example, for feedback. They take stuff in. We don't think that centralizing something is necessarily means that it's turning into a monopoly. When talking, both me and Dudi, who is the developer, we're coming from a tech environment for more than a decade now, and I think we've gathered enough experience that we have a sense what is a convenience and what is being tailored as like an experience. For example, let's look at clickbaits, for example. Clickbaits is something that it works very well. Everyone hates it, but no one can deny that it doesn't work, right? You see like an annoying sentence on an image. You want to click it because you want to prove to yourself or to the other person who posted that picture that what he says is untrue. Anyway, it's the engagement farming, and whoever posted that picture succeeded because you fell into that bait. So really, yes, it's something that is frowned upon, but it's still being used heavily everywhere. Everyone uses that in one form or another. So we think that there is a way to make let's call it like a Cardano hub that would include a lot of different things in it that would make sense, would make it more convenient while still maintaining the transparency that you would expect from a blockchain. That's why everything will be tailored with smart contracts, and everything will be very transparent. That's very important.
What would some of those things be?
Yeah, so I'm getting to that. Yeah,
for sure.
So we are project owners ourselves, and we use the ecosystem ourselves. So it's things about checking. If we're talking about NFTs specifically, so having a chart showing a little bit more smarter details around floor prices, what would affect a floor price, things that would be a little bit more in context. In general, knowledge sharing right now is something that Cardano wants to put a lot of money into, the foundation itself. There's a lot of catalyst proposal around education, around making languages more, what's the word? Not attained.
Readable, actually being able to use them, or what is it?
Like someone from someone who speaks Portuguese, for
Oh,
example,
okay,
and
okay.
he knows to write in Portuguese. You want someone to translate that to English or to Hebrew or to any language, really. So making all the knowledge sharing from all around the world a lot more attainable to anyone. Now, all of that needs to be incentivized. Yes, there are a lot of people who are into collaborating, contributing, and making everything open source. And that's great. Open source communities in general is something that really drives today's tech and
Yeah.
even non-tech stuff. But there still needs to be, we think, some sort of an incentive around that. So AdaBox, the destination of AdaBox is being a platform that would have a lot of things related to crypto and Cardano specifically in it. So the minting service is one of them, staking services is one of them, a marketplace, even a wallet at some point. Now, all of these are stuff that already exist, and you might ask yourself, why do we need a new one? You really don't. This is not coming from a place of trying to beat down anything else that exists, but we know for a fact that we can probably make some of these a lot more better. And with smart contracts, the way that smart contracts are built, where you have transparency into anything that happened, you can also incentivize for actions to be taken. So, for example, if people would like to share knowledge that they hold into something like a platform like AdaBox, they will be rewarded, let's say, with some sort of a token, and these tokens can be used in a lot of different areas within AdaBox. The minting service was the first thing we did because it makes the most sense. Let's say it's one of the gatekeeping things for NFTs in general. I think it's one of the most accessible things. So you're an artist, you want to get into the game of NFTs, you need to mint your stuff. So this is why the minting service needs to be really very self-service. What's amazing in Cardano specifically is that this community really shines when it comes to helping onboarding people, and I don't want to take any credit from people from doing that. At the same time, I feel that might cause some friction to people who don't necessarily want to interact with anyone. Maybe it's hard for them to trust. So yes, while people are very nice and they want to onboard people and they actually put ADA from their own wallet to onboard people, and I've seen it happening multiple times for people known in the community, I still feel like that's a friction. There's a friction there for anyone. So yeah, so this is where the Forge minting service will hopefully shine, and making the music boxes give you somewhat of a free mint. That's basically the ADA that the music box would cost would basically help us at least maintain the infrastructure for that. It still costs money. No one obviously wants to lose money. So we still had to find some way to make the free mints, we had to sustain it somehow without pouring money from our own pockets. But when you compare the amount of free mints you get from the music boxes and the amount that the boxes cost, it's nowhere near the amount they actually worth. So yeah, so AdaBox is a long time coming. It's been in development for quite a long time now. We're hoping that the music boxes would help us raise some funds so we can onboard some developers to help basically finish a lot of the things. Writing a smart contract is no easy game. Finding people to do that is also not an easy thing. And it needs to be robust and bulletproof as much as possible.
Right, exactly.
We're talking about people's funds. And
this isn't just a basic smart contract.
Yes, no, this is a very complex system. And that's why we don't really want to come out with announcements of when it's going to be ready or anything like that. Even with MusicBox, we took 7 months to build something that we really believe in. But but we know that this system is now it's bulletproof. It's we trust basically what we've built, and we took our time, and we did it in a bear market. So that also provided some peace of mind in some way, where there's no FOMO really. And I have to admit, I prefer it that way. Like doing things out of FOMO is, you build a house of cards rather than a castle, right? And a house of cards is easily collapsible afterwards, and that's not the game we're in. So we're in the castle building game.
So what are your thoughts on like you said, kind of building in the bear market? We've been in that phase. A lot of us, it's been a pleasure to even continuously build with you through this phase and through this time. Obviously, the big news this past week is Twitter headquarters has basically shut down this weekend, and it's been a mass exodus of employees leaving, most especially top developers that are really maintain the management of the back doors and the back end of Twitter. So let's just play a fun game really fast. And what do you think? Okay, so this is what I've been thinking about these past couple of days, and most especially just past 36 hours, is this has been such a huge platform for many of us to convene, to meet. We've gained lifelong connections. It's been something that's been such an anomaly, in a sense, of an experience over the past year and a half since Twitter Spaces started. And now Elon Musk has taken control of Twitter. And so what are some maybe alternative marketing methods and or avenues of distribution for the brand to still continuously get the message out there about MusicBox outside of Twitter? Have you guys thought about that at all?
We have, and I have to give a bit of if it's okay, a story around that. When we started the project like a year ago, the first thing we said is like, okay, we need to get followers on Twitter. This is basically how you get buyers, right? Around the time that we did the second drop, the 421, we had something like almost 2,000 followers, and we didn't receive a lot of purchases for the music boxes back then. And we were just like, how is this even possible? It's not even 10% of our following base has purchased the music box. Now it might sound naive now, but at the time when we were fairly new into this, I was new to Twitter at all. I'm only on Twitter for like 2 years, something like that. I have a Twitter account since 2009, but
right, likewise.
Where I'm from, in Israel, we barely really use Twitter here. So I was like, I couldn't understand how that's even possible. And I think I personally realized that a followers count isn't correlated with the number of revenue that you're expected to make. Then you have, Discord servers. Again, there's a lot of gamification with Discord servers. People approach me on an hourly basis trying to sell me, users and to pump the numbers on the server. We have like 400 people in the server that are, and maybe 10% of them are actually active, and that's much. I prefer that than like having 40,000 and complete just spam and GMs and like, there's a limit to fake it till you make it. So yeah, what I think would happen, I'm not too sure how much of everything that's written about Elon Musk and Twitter is actually happening in reality. Okay. Not to take any sides. I'm just saying probably a lot of it is clickbait. Probably a lot of it is true. I'm in no way saying Elon Musk is probably not the sanest person on earth. At the same time, I'm having a hard time believing, and this might age like old milk. I hope not, but I don't think Twitter will shut down in a week time. But even if it did, the alternative would be to probably use the other popular socials. So YouTube is probably the largest threat to Twitter right now. Google in general, Alphabet, that they have the infrastructure needed. people are joking about Mark and Facebook and Meta and everything. I don't know. That might be in 10 years. He might be the last one joking. You know what I mean? But no one knows. Like, it's very easy to laugh at him today because you pour billions of dollars into something that no one gives half a shit about.
Right.
And even Reddit. Reddit is a pretty good social networking place. Discord will probably remain the king of community connections and in general just communities. But yeah, Twitter, to anyone who listens, don't take Twitter as like the only. It's very easy to give you a fake feed as a project creator to think that something looks in a certain way, but in reality it really isn't. So I have so many posts that, you know, we have like 3,000 followers right now on Twitter, and some of my posts don't even reach like 100 impressions on the perfect time of day, and some of them reach 7,000. Trying to figure it out is just beyond me, and I don't scrutinize on every tweet or every GM I post on Discord. That people have lives and it's fine. And consistency is key, I think. I think consistency is something that will
certainly
outpace anything else. No matter what social media comes, as long as you're consistent, that will probably win over people.
So I think, that's great answer. And I think as we wind down, I think this is a great point that we can hone in on here when it comes to proper content strategy planning for all brands and businesses, and going back to that drawing board, taking the weekend to maybe do so, you know, a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, whatever day is your weekend, to really properly prepare your content strategy plan for the week. And, you know, it takes time to get started, but once you kind of come out with certain topics and then subtopics of those topics, and then even subtopics of those topics, it starts to become a little bit easier to, you know, develop, you know, a valuable content strategy, and then leveraging these certain platforms, like you said, Reddit, you know, who might not be used as widespread, you know, in the manner that Twitter is, but starting to learn how some of these other platforms work, you know. But the funny thing is, like, a lot of these algorithms change and shift throughout time as well. So just being up to par, up to speed. I like, you know, YouTube, like what you just said. Obviously, this piece of content here is going to be going up on YouTube, you know, and so, you know, it's and then Google, you know, as well. I mean, the infrastructure that they have to support, you know, creating, you know, maybe sub social medias, in a sense, new platforms is something that's potential as well. So I definitely appreciate actually you all's, you know, frame of thinking on that, and knowing that, you know, Twitter isn't the end all be all.
Nope.
When it comes
also
to
Instagram, I forgot to mention, but yeah, we have a pretty lively Instagram page as well. We have like 400 followers there that I'm sure have no clue what Twitter even is, and we communicate with them through Instagram. So yes, you should reach out to as many platforms as you can if you can manage them. We have like our guy that does the sound; he's the Instagram master, so it takes away a lot from me. For example, I'm doing most of the Twitter stuff. But yeah, if you're a one-man show, I can understand that's overwhelming.
It is.
And also, you know, it's very hard not to be sucked into the dopamine machine of likes and stuff like that. You really have to have like a good mentality and strength of mind, not to be sucked into it, and not to get addicted to it in some sense.
And that's why it's important with that content strategy plan to have, like, valuable content on your page. For it's not about the likes, you know, it's about, you know, what people see when they first come, you know, their first impression when they see the brand and they see what you all have going on. And so I think as long as that maintains the intention, you know, of the posts, is, you know, what can we, you know, provide in terms of the most palatable content as possible, you know, likes or no likes, You know, and also the utility of Reels on Instagram right now, I think is the big wave. You know, obviously YouTube kind of took a piece out of, you know, Instagram Reels and then TikTok, you know, so with now they have YouTube Shorts. So I think I'm starting to kind of get a little bit into YouTube Shorts to kind of see how those work and leveraging those too. So no, man, I just wanted to kind of, you know, see where your brain was at, you know, just given all this clickbait and FUD going around in this bear market, so to speak. So with that, I think this would be a good time to wind down. And so, you know, Adam, I do appreciate you coming on, talking all things AdaBox. We can't wait. I'm personally one of the artists, one of the 9 rare music boxes being featured. So we'll be auctioning off these 9 music boxes here probably in the next month and a half or so. We're just waiting for the auction platform to kind of be complete. We're putting together a proper marketing strategy, you know, for people to understand the true value of what we're auctioning off. It's going to be a cool opportunity for the artists to add a whole nother layer of utility as well to these music boxes that are being auctioned. And so, yeah, I think when that time comes, maybe we can do like a little auction music box special, you know, another interview just to kind of give some good positive energy around that as well.
Absolutely.
So, man, Adam, again, I appreciate your time. This is Adam with MusicBox, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned for a bunch of great innovative utility coming forth through both MusicBox and AdaBox as a whole. So thank you, Adam, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, appreciate you having me, Justin. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.